Hey guys, it's Tomatoda, and today I'm going to be making some resin rings because I wanted to try out these new molds I bought on Etsy from a shop called Punfunstudio. These molds are actually for shaker bits, but they fit perfectly on these ring bases that I bought on AliExpress. Also, because I'm dealing with epoxy resin, I'm probably gonna have leftover resin, which I don't want to waste. So, out of frame, I'm going to pour the extra resin into my side hose. And as unaesthetic as this is, I'm going to begin by protecting my crafting surface with some cling wrap because I lost my silicone mat and I have to buy a new one. Then I'm going to color code the cavities of the mold so I don't have to think too much about which cavity needs to be what color. Not gonna lie, there's a lot of new generation Pokemon that I am not familiar with, like who the fuck is that? And also, I'm not 100% sure who this is supposed to be either. But anyways, I ended up actually transferring the colors onto paper because some of the markers didn't show up very well on the plastic film. For this project, I wanted my resin to be opaque in color so that the ring bases don't show through, which is why I'm using epoxy resin since I don't have those specific opaque pigments for UV resin. After pouring in part A and part B of the epoxy resin, I'm going to mix it around slowly and then I'm going to put in some white alcohol ink to make the resin non-translucent. And I'm gonna add a natural, clear, shiny glitter mix that pretty much blends in with every color. Here, I am dividing the resin into 3 parts because the larger the resin mixture, the faster it hardens. So by dividing it, I'm hoping that it'll cure slower, allowing me more time to work with it because to be honest, I fucking hate mixing epoxy resin and I don't want to go through that again if possible. Now I'm going to start by mixing my pigments kind of according to the colors of the rainbow, just so if there's like cross-contamination with the colors, it'll still be natural because I don't want to prepare individual cups for each and every color. When I pour the resin into the cavities, I'm going to overfill it just a little bit, and I don't know for you, but for me, resin gets really messy, so make sure to protect yourself and your space. When I got to the color purple, I realized that I kind of messed up here because I forgot to make brown. And then I realized I don't actually have brown alcohol ink and I didn't feel like taking out my pastel chalks to make the specific brown color that I had in mind, so pass! Anyways, after filling everything up, I used a toothpick to remove the excess overflow. You can see here that I'm simply lifting up the resin and then I like to wipe it off on a piece of paper. I'm doing this because I want the back of the pieces to be flat so it'll be easy to glue it onto the ring base later. And here is the aftermath. It's as flat as my ass. Time to lightly pop all the bubbles using a lighter and then let it sit for a day because that's usually how long it takes for my resin to fully cure. Now day 2 has come and I was hoping that the weather would be better so I can get some good lighting, but it was raining again. Wah wah. Here I'm demolding all the pieces and look how cute they are. Unfortunately, the yellow pigment already stained my new mold. Yellow is always such an issue for me in any art medium. It's like a cursed color. Also, if you can see, my mixture unfortunately wasn't opaque enough because you can see the ring bases through it. And damn bitch, you look like you had a rough night. Now I'm going to fill in the etched outlines with acrylic paint, going to shove it in there using a paintbrush, and I ended up doing 2 coats just to make sure it was nice and thick. After that, let it dry for a few minutes, and then taking a cotton pad soaked in acetone, I rubbed the pieces onto it to wipe off the excess paint, which is a technique I picked up from this crafter here. And well, she uses a paper towel and no acetone, but it's similar enough. I got the idea from her and it worked wonderfully. After that is done, I'm going to use Mod Podge to coat the sides and the back of the resin to prepare them for doming. Embarrassingly to say, it took me 2 hours just to do this part. I do have a tutorial that goes over this in more detail if you guys want to watch, but essentially I Mod Podge wherever I don't want the resin to adhere because there will be spillage with non-circular shapes. It also took another few hours for the Mod Podge to completely dry, but when it did, I cling wrapped my workspace again and flipped all the resin pieces over. Now with my newly mixed batch of epoxy resin, I'm going to carefully dome the top using a stick to spread it around the surface evenly. Also, I don't know if I was just particularly lucky today or what, but I got very minimal spillage. I usually get a lot, so this was like some kind of witchcraft. Either way, I popped all the bubbles with a lighter and let it cure overnight. The next day, I was still in disbelief at the minimal spillage. The worst one was this Mimikyu here, and a few others that had like a sharp inward corner had a little bit of spillage. But as you can see, when I peel off the Mod Podge, the resin spill also falls off with it. If it doesn't, I can use my X-Acto knife to help it along. After I finished removing the Mod Podge, I used acetone on a cotton pad to wipe off the dust and oil from the ring bases and the back of the resin pieces. I'm basically prepping everything to glue it with Gorilla Glue. I separated the batch into two. One batch will be glued onto gold ring bases and the other one will be glued onto silver ring bases. This is because the resin pieces weren't as opaque as I wanted them to be. They're pretty see-through, unfortunately, so I had to pick which ring bases would complement the resin pieces better. Also, I had to make sure that the glue job wasn't splotchy because that also showed through some of the resin pieces. After letting the glue dry for a while, sometimes there will be white residue. I like to wipe it off with acetone because acetone solves all problems, but I read online that it happens because gas is released by the glue or something. I'm not a scientist, so that could be a lie, but I'm just gonna take it as an answer. Why not? Anyways, taking more acetone, I'm gonna put it on a cotton pad and wipe the surface of the resin rings to clean it of any fingerprints or smudges, and it's all done. Here are the results. These were really fun to make, and I really love how they turned out. Even Judy ended up looking mighty fine. So yeah, that's it. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye!